What if the universe doesn't respond to your thoughts, but to your sound, not your silent wishes, not your fleeting ideas, but the vibration, the invisible frequency of the words you speak? For thousands of years, sages and mystics across the globe have guarded a hidden truth. Sound is not just expression, it is creation. In ancient India, Vedic seers used mantras not to worship, but to manipulate energy. In Egypt, temple priests intoned sacred phrases believed to animate statues and open gateways. Tibetan monks shaped consciousness itself through the power of seed syllables. And in the mystical branches of Judaism, each Hebrew letter was a pulse of divine force, meant to build worlds. These weren't just spiritual chants. They were technologies, codes encoded in sound to shift reality from the inside out. But something happened. The mantras were buried. The power was hidden, turned into rote repetition, stripped of vibration, intention, and alignment. Why? Because a human being who knows how to shape reality with sound is not easy to control. So ask yourself this: what if the most powerful words weren't in your scriptures, but in your cells, waiting to be reawakened? What if the real magic was in the tone of your voice, not the belief in your mind? And that brings us to the deeper question: if sound is the true code of creation, what are the mantras that can unlock it? Part 1. Mantras. Ancient tools for resonance and power. What if words were never meant to describe reality, but to shape it? This is the forgotten power of the mantra. The word mantra comes from the ancient Sanskrit. Man, meaning mind, and tra, meaning tool or instrument. Literally translated, a tool of the mind, but not in the way we think today. In the ancient world, a mantra wasn't simply a repetition. It was a frequency device, a vibrational formula, engineered to retune your entire energetic field. Across civilizations, we find this sacred science hidden in plain sight. In Hinduism, mantras like Om Namah Shivaya weren't recited for favor. They were vibrational alignments with archetypal forces. In Tibetan Buddhism, seed syllables like Om, Ah, and Hum were used not to praise, but to pierce illusion and stabilize consciousness in higher planes. In Kabbalah, the very Hebrew alphabet was considered alive, each letter a container of divine energy. Names like YHVH weren't simply spoken, they were activated. Even early Christianity held echoes of this wisdom. Words like Abba, Father, and Amen were more than ritual closings. They were vibrational stamps, sealing spiritual intention. And yet, somewhere along the way, these living codes became chants of habit. Repetition without resonance. Words without waveform. But true mantras were never about religion. They were resonance engineering. Modern science is only now catching up. Cymatics shows us how sound shapes matter. When you chant a word, you don't just say something. You emit a frequency, and that frequency entrains your brain waves, heart rhythms, and electromagnetic field. When used properly, mantras synchronize the inner environment. They calm the nervous system, elevate mood, boost cognition. But deeper than that, they begin to dissolve the egoic noise, allowing the higher self to emerge. This is why monks can sit in stillness for hours with just a single sound. Why entire temples are built to amplify vocal harmonics. Why even in indigenous rituals, words are sung, not spoken, because vibration carries spirit. But here's the deeper mystery. If a mantra is so powerful, how can a single syllable carry such force? The answer lies not in the sound alone, but in the structure of language itself. Because in the ancient world, language was not invented, it was received. From Egypt to India to Mesopotamia, scribes and sages believed sacred language came from higher planes, that each syllable encoded a cosmic resonance, a bridge between matter and spirit. So when you repeat a mantra, you're not just creating sound. You're dialing into a frequency field, a specific bandwidth of reality, and depending on what you chant, you tune into different forces. That's why not all mantras are created equal. Some activate protection, some amplify focus, some open portals of healing, remembrance, and transformation. So the real question becomes, which words are you vibrating into the field of your life? Because whether you know it or not, you are always casting a spell. And if vibration is the key, then sacred language is the code. Let's explore how language became sacred tech in Part 2. Part 2. The Science of Sacred Sound. What if sound wasn't just something you hear, but something that builds the world around you? Modern science now confirms what ancient mystics always knew. Sound creates form. This is the principle of cymatics, where sound frequencies are used to vibrate particles like sand or water, revealing geometric patterns. The higher the frequency, the more complex the form. It's as if the universe itself is shaped by a hidden musical code. And if that's true, then words, especially sacred ones, aren't just communication. They are architectural tools. Ancient cultures understood this intuitively. They didn't just chant to feel better. They chanted to restructure reality. In Hinduism, the mantra Om isn't just a symbol of divine sound. It's believed to mirror the vibration of the cosmic source itself. When chanted properly, it stimulates the vagus nerve, lowers the heart rate, and brings the brain into theta wave states, deep relaxation where healing and intuitive insight occur. In medieval Europe, Gregorian chants weren't just religious songs. Studies now show that these chants create heart coherence, a state where heart rhythms and brain waves synchronize, promoting peace, clarity, and elevated emotion. Tibetan monks chant deep guttural tones not for theatrics, but because those frequencies activate the pineal gland, often called the seat of the soul, stimulating altered states of awareness. And even in silence, the echo of sacred sound remains. The Hebrew name of God, YHVH, is constructed of aspirated sounds. Breath itself becomes invocation. Some mystics believe this is why the breath is sacred. Each inhale and exhale echoes creation. So, what is sound actually doing? At a physical level, mantras and sacred sounds entrains brainwaves into alpha and theta states, balances the nervous system, reducing stress hormones, lowers blood pressure and heart rate, activates the pineal gland, linked to spiritual vision, charges the electromagnetic field, enhancing vitality and mood. But the effects go deeper than the body. When you chant a mantra, you're broadcasting coherent energy into the subtle realms. You're signaling the universe, I'm tuning to this frequency. And just like a tuning fork causes another to resonate, the outer world begins to shift in response. This is why intention matters. You can't just recite sacred sounds like a robot and expect miracles. The vibration must be embodied. It's not about volume, it's about resonance. When your emotion, your thought, and your sound align, you become a conductor of energy. Not a beggar, but a co-creator. And this brings us to the deeper truth. The true power of mantra isn't just in the sound, it's in the word itself. Because in every sacred language, Sanskrit, Hebrew, Aramaic, Coptic, each letter was a frequency, each word a code. So ask yourself, if every syllable you speak vibrates into form, what are you programming with your words? In the next part, we'll unlock the ancient codes hidden in divine language, and how forgotten mantras still carry the keys to altered states, healing, and awakening. Part 3. Seed syllables, divine names, and hidden codes. What if a single syllable could retune your being, clear your emotional body, and connect you to the divine? That's the power ancient mystics attributed to mantras, especially the Bija Mantras, the seed syllables. Bija means seed because these are the root vibrations from which larger energies grow. Take Om, the sound of the universe itself. When you chant Om, you're aligning with the cosmic pulse, the beginning, middle, and end of all things. HRIM invokes divine light and healing. KRIM awakens the fierce energy of transformation. Yam, Lam, Shrim, each corresponds to chakras, archetypes, intentions. But this wasn't unique to India. In ancient Hebrew, each letter was seen as a vibrational force. The sacred name of God, YHVH, was more than a name. It was a formula. Yod, spark of divine intention. Heh, the breath of creation. Vav, connection between realms. Again, manifestation into form. Speaking, it wasn't about worship. It was about resonance, tuning your being to the divine pattern. The Gnostics used I-A-O, a vocal path representing the cosmic cycle, creation, life, return. Mystics also worked with names like Abraxas, symbolizing the union of opposites. It wasn't about belief. It was about vibrational alignment. These weren't just words. They were keys to consciousness, to healing, to hidden realms. Modern science is catching up. Cymatics shows how sound creates patterns in matter. Sacred syllables reshape the body's energy field. Studies show chanting OM increases theta waves and heart coherence. Sacred tones activate the pineal gland and reduce stress, physiological proof of spiritual technology. Mystics like Blavatsky and Manly P. Hall taught that words, when combined with breath, rhythm, and will, become portals. But here's the secret. The most powerful syllables were never written down. They were passed through oral initiation, protected from misuse. Because when institutions took over, these names were demonized or buried. Mantras were labeled as superstition. The original meanings? Erased, yet the current never died. Even today, when you chant with clear intent, when your breath and sound become one, you reactivate a code older than language. You don't need to be fluent in Sanskrit or Hebrew. You only need to speak from the soul, because when you do, a name becomes a signal, a syllable becomes a seed, and your voice becomes the bridge between spirit and matter. So the real question isn't just which words have power, it's which ones have been hidden from you, and why. And if sound can shape matter, what are your daily words shaping right now? Up next, why most people never feel mantra's full effect, and how to reclaim the real power behind sacred sound. Part 4. Suppression and commercialization of mantra power. For thousands of years, sacred sound was guarded, not because it was dangerous, but because it was divine. Mantras were never meant for the masses. They were passed from teacher to initiate only when the soul was ready. But then came the conquerors. Colonial empires and institutional religions didn't just steal land. They stole language, ritual, and voice. They labeled mantras as pagan, blasphemous, or demonic. They burned scrolls, silenced chants, and replaced sacred vibration with dogma. And so, the real power was buried. But it didn't stay buried. It was repackaged. In today's world, mantras are everywhere, on t-shirts, in yoga studios, echoing through social media trends. But what's missing is the essence. Because true mantra is not a manifestation hack. It's not something you loop on TikTok hoping for cash, love, or validation. Mantras were never meant to get things. They were meant to transform the self. But now, they're marketed like products. Chant this 3 times and attract your soulmate. Say this affirmation to become rich overnight. This isn't magic, it's mimicry. Sound without alignment is just noise. Because mantra doesn't work because it sounds pretty. It works when your vibration matches the syllable, when your breath, mind, and spirit become one with the sound. You can't chant Om while living in fear. You can't invoke divine names while vibrating in resentment or greed. You can't use sacred syllables like tools if you haven't done the inner work to hold them. There is ethics in resonance. In the ancient world, before any mantra was spoken, initiates purified themselves through silence, fasting, devotion, and stillness. Why? Because sacred sound is alive. And when spoken without respect, it won't open doors. It may even close them. This is why many ancient schools encoded mantras in symbols, gestures, or hidden numerical keys, so they couldn't be misused by the unready. Even today, the most powerful mantras are still not taught publicly. They are passed in whispers, not hashtags. But don't mistake that for elitism. It's about responsibility. You don't need to be a monk to use mantras. You just need to approach them with reverence, not consumption. Because every syllable is a mirror, and if you chant without truth, it will reflect your noise, not your soul. But for those who are ready, who feel the call to reclaim the real power of sound, the path still exists. The door is not closed. It never was. It's simply vibrating, waiting for the one who can match its tone. Let's walk through that door and discover how to use sound, ethically, powerfully, and consciously. Part 5. Using mantras as keys to the soul. Mantras are not magic words. They are keys. Coded frequencies designed to unlock what's been sleeping inside you. And you don't need a temple. You don't need a priest. You don't even need to believe in anything. You just need to listen and be willing to vibrate with truth. To begin, start with presence, not noise, not performance, just stillness. Because every mantra begins not with sound, but with silence. Then choose your key. Om, the primal sound of creation. Chanted in Hindu, Buddhist, and yogic traditions, Om is not just a syllable, it is the sound of the universe breathing. SOHUM, I am that. A reminder that your breath and being are one with the all. Used to align breath and awareness, dissolving the ego into cosmic flow. Ra, Ma Da Sa. A mantra for healing. Each syllable vibrates with specific energetic centers, calling in light, restoring coherence. YHVH, the tetragrammaton. Not a name, but a formula. YHVH, creation, breath, bridge, manifestation. It's a breathing pattern encoded in Hebrew mysticism, linking you directly to Source, HU, the universal name of God in Sufi and mystical traditions. Chanting Chu aligns you with the subtle vibration of divine love and unity. And then there are the mantras spoken within, mantras used in dreams, chanted not by the mouth but by the soul, whispered through lucid states, vision quests, and meditative descent. These are the deepest keys, because they're not just heard, they're remembered. But no matter which mantra you choose, the real transformation doesn't happen because you say the word. It happens when you become it. Intention plus vibration equals activation. If your intention is cloudy, the signal is weak. If your mind is scattered, the mantra dissolves in noise. But when your heart is aligned and your voice is steady, even a single syllable can change your frequency. So how do you begin? Start small. Chant a mantra 108 times, slowly, mindfully. Use a mala. Breathe in with awareness. Let the sound echo not just from your throat, but from your center. Feel how your body responds, how your thoughts soften, how your emotions begin to shift. And then pause. Notice the afterglow, because mantra is not just about sound, it's about what remains in its silence. It's in that silence that something ancient awakens. Imagine this: a seeker sits alone, in total darkness, no tools, no books, no dogma, just a single breath, a single word, spoken not out loud, but from the deepest core. And the moment it's released, the entire inner world begins to vibrate. Walls crumble, old wounds dissolve, timelines realign, because that one sound was the exact key their soul had been waiting for. So the only question left is this: what forgotten sound is waiting to rewrite you from within? Final CTA. If sound is the code of the soul, then mantra is how you rewrite it. Subscribe and remember the ancient words your soul still echoes. Not as noise, but as a vibration that was always yours to reclaim. In the next episode, the alchemical process of spiritual transformation. We'll unveil how ancient mystics turned suffering into gold, emotion into energy, and the human self into something divine. You've awakened the sound. Now, it's time to transmute the fire. Fire.